Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, May 15th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 246 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today brings us down south to the Sunshine State, where on Friday, Florida State Senator Jeff Brandeis wrote a letter to Senate President Joe Negrin calling for the state legislature to reconvene for a special session to address the question of medical marijuana. Regular listeners know that this year's legislative session recently ran out in Florida without the state House and Senate agreeing on how to expand their medical marijuana system as called for by last November's ballot initiative Amendment 2, which passed with more than 70% of the vote. In his letter to Senator Negrin, Senator Brandeis supported a system favoring horizontal integration between cultivators, processors, distributors, and dispensers over the current vertically integrated structure their state has now, writing, quote, "The appropriate number of MMTC licenses should be determined upon market demand," unquote. Currently, there are just 7 licensed medical marijuana providers in the state. This is a good story to click over for the full read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Turning our attention to the international scene, on Friday, the United Kingdom's Liberal Democrat Party announced that they are embracing, as an official position plank, the call to legalize adult use marijuana and to set up a commercial market similar to what's been done in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. Framing the issue as a way to curb the ability of gangs to profit from illicit market marijuana sales and of kids from being able to easily get cannabis, leaders within the Liberal Democrats are also citing a study showing that in 2015, the British government spent £31 million, or just over $40 million, on more than 1 million hours of police time just to handle and process marijuana cases, the vast majority of which were low-level possession charges. Our final top story of the day is the news out of New Jersey that State Senator Nicholas Scutari will announce today at noon a piece of proposed legislation that he will champion to legalize the adult use of marijuana. I've reported on State Senator Scutari a number of times in the past as he's taken on an active role in his state in pushing for progressive cannabis reform. His bill is expected to lay out plans for a fully taxed and regulated commercial system. While State Senator Scutari has no illusions about his ability to get any kind of legalization bill past the desk of current disgraced Governor Chris Christie, a known prohibitionist, he said he's angling towards November when elections will push the term-limited Christie out of office. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly talk about this podcast. As regular listeners know, it's been a long and hard-fought year for me producing this show every Monday through Friday morning. With our 1-year anniversary coming up at the end of this month, I'm happy to announce that we're still here. While there's still a lot of work to be done, things are looking better than ever in terms of how many people are tuning into our shows, and the time has come for me to get some help in running things. So we're hiring. I'm specifically looking for someone right now to help me run business development and sales for our 2 shows. Do you or someone you know how to run the sales process from prospects through closing? Do you dream of sales funnels and ad kits? I need someone who can pitch our unique offering to the countless potential sponsors sprinkled throughout the legal marijuana business landscape. This position pays a modest monthly stipend of $1,000 with a big fat commission structure for closed sales. You can learn more about our sales and business development position over at mjtodaydaily.com/jobs. That's mjtodaydaily.com/jobs. All right, time for the blitz. The Portland Press Herald is reporting that the Maine state lawmakers tasked with writing the rules and regulations governing the adult use marijuana system set to roll out next year are considering lifting the cap on the amount of legal cultivation allowed within the market. As last November's initiative was passed, a total cap of 800,000 square feet of cultivation space was designated as the limit for the adult use market. But the Press Herald is reporting that some lawmakers and activists are raising the question of eliminating the cap altogether. This is a good one to click over for the full read. Marijuana media company Leafly just announced a German language version of its website, signaling the rising potential seen by a lot of industry folks in that country's marijuana market. Last week, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster signed House Bill 3559 into law, clearing the way for the state to issue cultivation licenses for industrial hemp farmers. While the state first passed a hemp bill back in 2014, it didn't follow through with the step of implementing any kind of mechanism by which South Carolina farmers could grow hemp. House Bill 3559 changes that, giving the state the authority to issue up to 20 permits during the program's first pilot year, allowing each permit holder to grow up to 20 acres of hemp. Both those numbers double up in the second year. In Hawaii, 2 pieces of approved medical marijuana legislation await judgment from Governor David Ige, with one bill requiring the state to officially refer to marijuana as cannabis, while the other, more expansive measure would, among other things, expand their list of qualifying conditions, extend various deadlines for their commercial market, and increase the number and scope of cultivation and dispensing licenses. CW Analytical Laboratories, a California-based cannabis testing company, just announced that it will be pushing testing results data out to the Weedmaps app via a proprietary system. The testing results will be viewable by Weedmaps users at the dispensary and product level. New Cannabis Ventures is reporting that Canadian licensed medical marijuana firm Aphria is taking a loss of more than $2 million Canadian on an investment the company had made in Cannabo Medical, a chain of medical clinics specializing in medical marijuana recommendations. On May 10th, Aphria sold 2.5 million shares of Cannabo at 46 cents a share Canadian after buying those same shares at $1.40 a share this past December. And finally for today, NASCAR racer Carl Long is making mainstream and industry headlines today for the small kerfuffle he got into with NASCAR this weekend over a planned marijuana sponsorship he placed on the hood of his car. Mr. Long secured a sponsorship deal with the Colorado-based marijuana company Weedwerks, painted their logo on his car, and applied to NASCAR for official approval. According to the story over at Uprocks, NASCAR squashed that idea and made Mr. Long remove the Weedwerks logo from his hood ahead of a planned race this weekend because they hadn't had a chance to properly vet the company. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I know you've been thinking about it. Today's your day. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.